Okay. Welcome, everybody. I can't. I took this from there. We're going to start in a few minutes. I'm just waiting for a few more people to get on. Anyone know how to work the chat here? I see we have now five people on. If you're able to chat with me, please just write hello, who you are, who's on, so we know which students are here right now. We're actually working on getting, as we speak, a Zoom link, which will be hopefully a lot easier to use. So if we're going to get that now, we're going to switch over to the Zoom link. No, it's very limited. Let's see. Okay, so we have 6 people on. I still don't see any comments from anybody. We're going to start momentarily. Okay, we're going to begin. You guys should have your books in front of you. If you, in the meantime, assuming we don't get Zoom set up within the next few moments. Oh, it looks like we did set up Zoom, guys. Just wait. Just wait. We're going to hopefully get this set up. Thanks to one of our students, Nachman Hoffman. He just sent us a link. Okay, Nachman, I'm having some trouble loading it on my computer. I don't know why it's not going up, but I'm going to try again something else. We're trying to get the Zoom link to work. We will see in a moment if this is practical or not. Sorry for the delay, guys. This is not an expected situation what we're having here, as you all know. think we have to enable it in the main system. Okay, guys. We tried to get through Zoom. I don't know. It's not working for me. I guess we'll try to work on it for the next time we have a class. Try to get this system working. Thanks to Nachman Hoffman, who has an account. We're just going to stay put with the YouTube. So just stay where you are. Okay, and we're going to start momentarily. You should have your books out. We are on page 56 in the Semicha books. I hope you all have it with you. If you do not, then please go online to shulchanaruch.com and open up the section of the laws and building in the search bar there, and it should pop up. We are on. It's chaval. I can't share with you. YouTube Live doesn't have a screen sharing capability, and the chat here is turned off, and I have no clue how to fix that right now. But so that's why in general we're going to have to move off YouTube Live to use a more classroom system. The system in the account that we use with Canvas, they have a limit. First of all, they are overwhelmed with the coronavirus. Everybody's using them. They're not able really to function for everybody. Number two, they have some limitations on the free account. So that's what we're going to try to set up with Zoom for the next time around. Okay, but in the meantime, this is what we're going to be using, everyone. Thank you for joining. And please get your books open. Okay, so we were holding, last week we began our first class on Boneh. Again, last week we began our first class on Boneh, and we're going to review what we did thus far. If you're in the system, you can once again watch on the PowerPoint. If you're not in the system, then I don't have a way of sharing the PowerPoint with you right now. So let's review what we did, and I also want to touch upon the tests in a moment. Okay, so we explained that the Boneh are one of are two of the Lama Test Malachis, in addition to the Malach of Tikkun Kli and Makah B'Chatash, we already covered and finished 2 weeks ago, and you already all, I believe, took tests on and did quite well. I will give at the end of the class review some of that, but I want to get this year in first. Okay, so we will be emerged from touching upon that. We explained that there are three basic categories of building and destroying, three basic categories of forms of building and destroying, which has bylaws. So whenever you have a question of Boneh and Seiser, you have to first understand which type of category we're referring to, and then go, okay, I know this is the category, let's go to its particular bylaws. So the three categories we said were items attached to the ground, which is the strictest, vessels that are not attached to the ground but hold 40 saw, which is synonymous in halacha to items attached to the ground, as is considered like a house, and three vessels that are not attached to the ground and do not hold 40 saw. So we explained last week and last year the detailed rulings of the first two categories, and we basically said in summary that they are the most severe types of the Boneh. They are the most severe types of building prohibition as even if it's only a very light attachment, it would be prohibited, even though it's light. And as well, we said that even if it's not a very strong structure, it would still be prohibited. Both of those aspects are things we're going to see leniencies in the third category. Based on that, we went through a number of questions and answers dealing with things attached to the ground. We did clarify last week, very importantly, that based on a halacha elsewhere in chapter 315, it's understood that is simply hanging an item on a nail on the wall is not considered Boneh, even though we said by things attached to the ground, we have a very strict definition of Boneh, and we are going to prohibit even light attachments, such a light attachment of such a state that it's barely attached. With that, we are not stringent, and we do not consider it as Boneh. Okay, so we're going to now move on to if you see PowerPoint again, so those who have access to the Canvas site, the students that are enrolled, you can go into the module, into the PowerPoint section, and you should be able to see the PowerPoint number 7. That's where we're on right now. We're on number 7 in the PowerPoint for Boneh V'Seiser. I did not put up that much more, so today we're going to cover from 7 to 11. And we'll cover whatever else outside of the PowerPoint that we have available. Okay, so with vessels that are not attached to the ground and are not large enough to hold 40 saw, this is what we're up to. So we want to understand what are their bylaws, what is their ruling. If, like a chair, a table, anything, any kli, any item, any utensil that is not attached to the ground, what is its bylaws of the prohibition? Just 1 second, guys. Someone's corresponding with me here, one of the students. You can correspond with me via WhatsApp of my wife if you have a question. That's the best way right now of doing it. My wife's number is 050-668-4825. On my desktop, so I will see any messages that you send me, that you send that number now. So if you have a question, you can send it over there. Okay, so it's like this. A few students, Yehuda included, who I see is corresponding with you right now about something. So he asked, we have spent a whole bunch of weeks and just had a test on the malacha of Makabeh Patish, on fixing things. And now we're saying that things that are not attached to ground, do not hold 40 saw, are relevant to Boneh, which is a different Av Malacha. So how does this work out? So we already touched upon this a few times, and I mentioned it, that indeed there is some confusion in halacha as to if fixing an item on Shabbos is under the Boneh category or Makabeh Patish category. There are certain things that are for sure Boneh and certain things that are for sure Makabeh Patish, but in the middle, there's some cases in the middle that it's unclear. In fact, we saw a lashon in the beginning in our first class. The Alter Rebbe says, perhaps this is forbidden due to Makabeh Patish, and perhaps this is forbidden due to Boneh. Does anyone not have, if anyone doesn't have ability to see their PowerPoint inside the system, I don't know why they don't, but it could be because they did not click on the links for learning curriculum first. Once again, the way the system works online is that you have to be able to click. You have to first click on every preceding part in order to be able to have access to the next part. So if you did your test, the Makabeh Patish, and you received over a 70, you will have access to Boneh V'Seiser section in the module. But you won't have access to video classes until you click on learning curriculum. Once you click on that, the video classes and PowerPoints will then be available to you, which is the next step. And that's where we are right now in the PowerPoint. Okay, so please do that for all those who don't have access to it. So back to what we were saying. Basically, I want to now clarify something on this idea that we said there's like this middle ground of patish when we're fixing vessels. So it's important to know there is indeed, we're again on PowerPoint 7, slide 7, there is indeed a machlekes amongst the poskim as to whether the malacha of Boneh applies to vessels that are not attached to the ground, do not hold 40 saw. This is very important. This is explained in the Alter Rebbe in chapter 314 regarding a certain particular halacha, and we'll discuss that halacha later. But the point is, keep this in mind. There is a debate amongst the poskim regarding if the malacha of Boneh applies at all to vessels, meaning some poskim hold that there is no malacha of Boneh at all when it comes to vessels not attached to the ground. They say, very clear, and by them it's super simple, Boneh is only items attached to the ground or by items that hold 40 saw and are similar in halacha and are consistent to halacha with a building. But any other item, it's always makeh b'patish. So by them, it's very simple. There will never be Boneh by items that are not attached to the ground. Other opinions, who holds, by the way, this opinion? This is the opinion of Shabbos-Semicha, in the name of the Re'im, Rashi, and so holds the Vilna Gaon, the Gra, that there's no Boneh v'seiser b'kelim. That's the Hebrew term for that. Ein Boneh v'seiser b'kelim. There is no prohibition of building and destroying by vessels. What there is makeh b'patish, which we already learned all those details on bylaws, and we learned what's allowed and what's not allowed. But Boneh v'seiser there isn't. Other places can argue, and they hold that there is Boneh v'seiser by kelim. And in other words, so they hold that at times, perhaps in addition to transgressing makeh b'patish, you may also be transgressing Boneh. Furthermore, and this is the main nafkamina that you have to pay attention to. This is the main ramification of the cases that you have to pay attention to. And that is as follows. There is no corresponding melacha to makeh b'patish. In other words, there is no counter melacha to it. It's either you fix it and you transgress a melacha, or you didn't fix it and there's no melacha transgress. So even if I unfix something, from the perspective of makeh b'patish, he doesn't have a zivug, he doesn't have a pair opposite him saying, well, just as it's prohibited to fix, it's prohibited to unfix, which means to break. There is none. So if we hold, like the first opinion, okay, that I mentioned earlier, the Gra, the Yereim, Shabbos-Semicha, which hold Ein Boneh v'seiser b'kelim, there's no prohibition of building and destroying by kelim, then it ends up that there is no prohibition to destroy an item that's not attached to the ground and doesn't hold 40 saw. It doesn't sound kosher, but there's no malacha, there's no basis and precept to put it under to make a prohibition in their opinion. As there is no counter makeh b'patish that prohibits unfixing, that prohibits destroying by such vessels. That's nafkamina. The other opinion, who holds that there is Boneh v'seiser b'kelim, so the pragnification would be just as it's prohibited to build, so too it's prohibited to destroy. So while by the first two categories that we mentioned of things attached to the ground and things that hold 40 saw, everyone is in agreement that there is a biblical prohibition of Boneh and a biblical prohibition of seiser by items that are not attached to the ground, not hold 40 saw, this matter is under debate, which consequently causes a debate of whether there's a prohibition to destroy these items on Shabbos. And we will learn later on in the examples that one of the practical ramifications that there will be is regarding asking a guy, can I ask a Gentile to destroy an item on Shabbos? And you may say, why would